just being a part of something bigger than yourself, and wanting to do your best for the guy sitting next to you, or the guy playing next to you, is what I always felt. One thing I loved about the game. I still do.
Well, Clark Gable must have signed that ball because she's gone with the wind.
Wow. I mean,
I'm holding a 1986 World Series baseball in my hand, and I'm talking to Chad Shop. How you doing, brother?
good morning, buddy. I am great. How are you?
Yeah, good. Full disclosure, listener, we started a little bit late. Technical issues, other job issues. We have other jobs. We can't just be
Day
a
jobs.
podcaster.
Yeah.
And the day jobs might not be as fun as this job, but it's kind of necessary to be able to feed those kids.
That's what the wife tells me. Loans are, and I love loans because I love helping people, but she says the loans are what fund the dream.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
I keep telling her, I'm a baseball coach. I'm a baseball coach. I said that when I was kicking and screaming, heading out of the office with joy in my heart.
Well,
But,
one day that will be your living, is being a baseball coach. You're too good. You're too good. And it's too necessary. Hey, we had Albert Pujols on last week, Daniel Bard before that. Coming up next week, we got Boog Shambi, voice of the Cubs, also the recent voice of MLB The Show. And he's got stories about everybody in the game of baseball. That's going to be a fun one. Who we got today, my brother?
Eli Whiteside, an incredibly well-respected catcher and just a great human. He could be a manager. He could do anything in the game, but he's with his family because his wife needs him. So he's awesome, man. I'm excited to have him on. And he was asking about how to run camps. So I thought this would be a good format where you've run a few camps and I've run some camps. So we're going to get a little tutorial on how to run a camp. It's going to be fun today.
It's going to be beautiful. And I did a post on my Instagram stories. We've got a lot of listeners out there asking, hey, how do I coach better? How do I parent better? And so we've got some questions from some fans. I guess you call them fans or listeners. Yeah. And we'll get to that. Maybe we'll get to that with Eli. That could be a good place to throw some questions our way. But I'll do a little introduction of the homework I've gotten from Eli, and then you can tell us all how we met. He's born in Mississippi, folks, raised on an 80-acre farm. That's 80 acres. Went to college at Delta State. You may have heard of the legend Boo Ferris. The field's named after him. Go look that guy up. That's in Cleveland, Mississippi. 6th-round pick of the Orioles in 2001. But before that happened, his final year at Delta State, 90 hits, tied for 8th all time at Delta State. Round of applause. It's Eli Whiteside.
Morning, Whitey.
What's up, Chopper?
So he played with the Orioles, the Giants, the Rangers, the Cubs, World Series champ in 2010, folks. And what ensued after that World Series was Eli Whiteside Day in New Albany, Mississippi, where he got the keys to the city. I want to break that down. I don't know what it means to get the keys to the city, but Chopper, introduce us to our guest today. How do you know him?
Whitey and I work together with the Giants, and as respected as anyone in the game. He's just a great human, a great father, great husband, great friend, someone who I'm really excited to have on because he fits this mold of high character guys. And he's a guy that you want to go have a nice cold glass of milk with. And we love Whitey. Like I said before you came on, Whitey, he could be a manager right now in the game anywhere, but he's home with his family because they need him, and that's who he is. So Whitey, welcome to the show. We're so happy to have you.
Wow. Well, I'm glad to be here, guys. Can I get a recording of that so I can listen to it every morning when I get up?
I put it in writing, and it's we're heading to sending it to you.
That's a done deal. I'm just going to add a little music underneath it, maybe some some Chariots of Fire, or just something really warm, and we'll throw it to you.
That'd be awesome.
Well, first things first, I love the accent, and I grew up in North Carolina, and your accent might be even stronger than mine, but I think by the end of this conversation, Chopper, I might be twanging it just a little bit more than usual.
Hey, it always tends to happen. It always happens that way. And when I was with the Giants, we were fortunate enough to have a few country boys on the team, and it got a little bit thicker as the longer we hung out. It got a little bit thicker. So
they're gonna learn today. They're gonna learn today.
That's right. That's right.
Awesome. Well,
today, go ahead, Coach.
Well, I just loved digging into your story, and I went down a wormhole of Delta State baseball records, which I love doing. I've got some trivia, some Eli Whiteside baseball trivia that we'll crack open, but get us started there, Chopper.
All right, Whitey. So we'll ask you a couple questions, and then this is kind of rare. This will be the first time where you're going to kick questions at us, and we're going to help try to help give you kind of just a snapshot of what we do with camps. I think between the two of us, we've got probably 30 plus years of camp experience. And I know you're going to start a camp and you're going to do amazing at that. So the first question that I have is, what do you like most about baseball?
What I like most about baseball?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's a good question. Well, pretty much everything about it. Well, one thing, I guess there's no shot clock. There's no clock. You're not playing under the constraints of a time limit. So who knows how long the game's going to last? So you can just get out there and have at it and just have all the fun you want. But other than that, I would say just the team aspect of the game is huge. Being part of something bigger than yourself, which I know there's other obviously other team sports out there, but baseball is I think maybe the epitome of the team sport. Everybody pulling on the same rope and going out and doing your job is kind of the way I looked at it. And as a player, and now coaching the last few years, kind of feel the same way about it. Just being a part of something bigger than yourself and wanting to do your best for the guy sitting next to you, or the guy playing next to you, is what I always felt. One thing I loved about the game. I still do.
And Whitey, Coach, for you and for our listeners, this is a man who was and he is still extremely well liked, but he also had that fire in him of like, he'll get in you with love and respect because of, hey man, let's go. It's time to go. And I loved that about Whitey. I just felt like his ability to ride that line of like, man, everyone can't wait to see Whitey, but at the same time, he'll let you know if you're not doing things the right way. And it's just that accountability that makes him such an invaluable asset in the clubhouse, in life, on a team. Whitey's up there, man. If I'm starting a team, Whitey's on my team, and it doesn't matter what we're doing. He's going to find a way to help us get it done.
I love that. And I run 3 different age groups. And last night I might've got a little bit Whitey on my oldest kids because I think they're ready. For me, I can't go Whitey on a 4-year-old who doesn't want to be there. Right. I'm just trying to reel them in. But for you, did you have to kind of decipher, okay, I can go a little more aggressive with this one. I need to hit the brakes with this one. How did you go about figuring that out?
Well, that's kind of how you have to be that way as a catcher. I was a catcher, so you got to be that way as a catcher. You got to know what you're working with out there on the mound, because not everybody's the same, and not everybody reacts the same way to certain things. So you got to figure that out, and that comes with time and trust with your pitcher, and because you can't go out there and just pat everybody on the butt. It's going to work for them, Sometimes you got to ramp it up a little bit and let them know you're back there, and let them know that you care about them. But that's why you're doing it. You care about them, and you want them to see them succeed, So, and just like I said before, we're all pulling on the same rope. So we need everybody to do their best for us to go out there and get that win every day,
And I think a lot of that is based in trust, like the kids that I really challenged last night. I've been coaching them since they were 4 years old. So they know I love them. They know I respect them. I'd do anything for them. And it would be it would be to their disadvantage if I just patted them on the bahonkus. I need to challenge them right now because they're not hustling to the front of the line, or they're not hustling to the back of the line after an infield drill or something like that. So I love that.
I mean, you've got a good feel as a coach to know that they're ready for that, So
yeah,
that's where that trust factor comes into play.
Absolutely. And we're going to hear a lot of questions from listeners, and a lot of the listeners are moms and dads that are volunteer coaching with youth baseball and trying to figure out a few things here and there. One of the questions we got, and we can hit it with both of you and me, is the best way to deal with parents who try to coach from the sidelines. We've all been coaches. We're all coaches. And there are definitely those parents that try to coach from behind the dugout. And maybe we'll start with Chopper on that question. And that question comes from Rick. How do you go about that, Chopper?
Yeah, just setting realistic expectations. But what I want to touch on real quick with Whitey is what he's talked about is you discipline those you care about. And Coach, you talked about that too with the kids. So I always make sure that message is clear. Like, hey, because I love you and I care about you, I'm going to hold you accountable. And that's just because I care. So as long as they know where you're coming from and why you're doing it, I think the kids will respond better to that. Back to the parents. I set realistic expectations. I make sure they know come in, and we're not going to argue with umpires. You're not going to yell at your kids. And I remind them that I know that you're yelling because you love them, but listen to yourself. You know what I mean? Like the whole, like, oh, come on, what are we doing, Billy? I didn't teach you that, or you're embarrassing. Like, hey, come on, like take a deep breath, remind yourself how much you love your kid, and let us coach, and we'll coach them in the right way. And you've trusted us. So let us do our job. And then it's your job to take them to Dairy Queen after the game, win, lose, or draw. And just set those expectations, reminding them that in youth sports, it should be about fun and falling in love with this game. Because as we get older, and we all know in college, pro ball and beyond, there becomes a little bit of stress and it becomes a business. So while they're young, my goodness, enjoy the game, have joy.
Before we have Whitey respond to that, Chopper, do you send an email at the beginning of the year? Do you have a team, a parent meeting? How do you get that word across practically?
I like doing as much as I can face-to-face so people can feel my tone and I understand that I'm doing it out of love and respect. And it's not this like, hey, this is how we're going to do it. It's like, no, this is because we love these kids and we respect each other, the parents and the kids. So I'll do it face-to-face. And then if something pops up, I'll just address it one-on-one. Like we talk about, coach, discipline shouldn't be heard by more than the person you're talking to, and praise should be heard by everybody. So if I'm disciplining or talking to a parent, I want to do it one-on-one so I'm not embarrassing them and they don't feel like I'm attacking them. They know that I'm coming at them with love and respect.
100%. Face-to-face is definitely the way to go there. But Whitey, what's your stance on that?
Well, I've been home for a couple of years now, and being gone, I was in San Francisco. My family was back here with the kids being in school, and the last few years on the coaching staff, I wasn't able to be at home and see my son, which I have two sons. I have two boys. One is 12 and one is 9. My oldest one, he cares zero about sports, and he'll tell you, he's more artistic, he plays the piano. He's in the band, that kind of deal. My youngest son, he is 9 and he is all about soccer, loves soccer. Anyway, I'd never seen him really play because I was gone, and now being at home and being back around youth sports, it's changed a lot since I was a kid, or even I guess when I was playing, but anyway, he plays travel soccer, and they play tournaments on the weekend. So, and I was just around seeing, I like to stand on the sideline, like down towards the goal, where kind of away from everybody else, just because I want to watch the game and see the game, and see how other players, other kids are playing. And just kind of step back and see the way some parents react during the game is it's just crazy to me, which I have yet to I'm getting my son a team together, but I've yet to see travel ball baseball. I haven't seen that. I hadn't seen that set up yet. And I don't know. I'm kind of leery of even trying to delve into that, but I don't know. I kind of go back to when I was playing in high school, or I played with a guy, grew up same age. We played, T-ball all the way up together, which we didn't have travel ball back then. We had played league ball and then all-stars, you played a few more games at the end of the season, whatever. Anyway, we grew up playing together, played through high school together, was one of our best pitchers in high school. Anyway, throughout the time I played with him, like his dad was so intense outside, right behind the screen, and it would get to a point to where he would maybe kick a trash can, or kind of show his tail a little bit. And I could see how that affected him, when I was playing with him, and ended up he went on to play JUCO and then college ball, but then I think he quit maybe after the second, or maybe a semester of when we were at Delta State together. Anyway, just to see how that affected him as a player in the dugout and on the field. I don't know if it was being more embarrassed for his dad, being embarrassed, or his dad was embarrassing him, or him being embarrassed for his dad, and just to see how the other parents reacted to his dad was, I don't know. I felt bad for him, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Just because of,
Well,
I mean, we couldn't do anything about it, but just to see how that affected him wasn't the best feeling.
Yeah, I had the exact same thing with one of my best friends, and it got to the point where he started his college career playing baseball, and then he just got tired of it. He was done his freshman year, and he was way better than me. But I've said it a few times on this podcast. My dad had a Hawaiian shirt unbuttoned in his lawn chair with a 6-pack of Wild Cherry Pepsi outside the left field fence, and you couldn't hear him, you couldn't see him, and that's the way he wanted it. He'd come into the dugout because he kept score, and he'd make us laugh, and he'd give us nicknames, and then he'd walk back out to left field. And I enjoy the big moments, and I still love baseball to this day with all my heart, and a lot of that is just due to him being calm. So anything to button up that first question there, Chopper, on parents and coaching from the sidelines?
No, but I think you touched on something for Whitey for his camps, is make sure you give him a nickname. Like make sure you give him a nickname, and you've got my number, and I'll get you Coach Ballgame's contact info as well. But there's ways I've seen. We got to coach together recently, Coach Ballgame, and I love how you ask them, what'd you eat for breakfast? And then a lot of times if they, Frosted Flakes, or what's your favorite animal? And then you can get them going. These kids, they light up when you give them a nickname. So that is an absolute must when they're doing their registration. Get them a nickname and go with it.
And look, for the listener out there that's not watching on YouTube, Whitey just pulled out a pen and he wrote that down. So how about that?
He's a pro. That's why.
He's a grinder. Yeah, I start a brand new season of Sandlots this week, and I had 3 Sandlots last night, fresh faces, and we spend 10 minutes in a team meeting. Hey, what's your nickname? You don't have one? What's your favorite animal? What's your favorite cereal? Favorite thing to do? And I mean, we had some great ones. The best nickname yesterday was Sap Collector.
That's great.
He loves trees. He loves tree sap. And man, when you've got a whole baseball field full of kids screaming Sap Collector while you're batting, it's a vibe. So nicknames.
What was your, if I can ask, what was your nickname?
I love it.
Is that Coach Ballgame?
That was a question for. So mine was Smiley. When I was growing up, everybody called me Smiley because
I get it.
I was born with a smile on my face, and then in college it went to Jimmy Ballgame, and then out of college I started coaching camps with a few college teammates, and it just transferred over to Coach Ballgame, and now most people just call me Ballgame. So yeah. Chopper, what about you? I know it's Chopper, but
Yeah, my nickname, man, it's kind of a long story. My nickname was the Rammer in college and in pro ball.
The
And
Rammer.
the Rammer. And it's actually derived from a Jim Rome episode. So it's kind of making fun of Jim Rome talked about a softball player who took it way too seriously and went to work the next day. And someone said, Mike, how'd your game go? And he goes, well, first of all, my name's the Rammer. And I went 3 for 4, but I got jobbed out of the hit. I actually went 4 for 4. So me and my buddies thought that was funny. So they're like, we're going to make you the Rammer. I'm like, okay, good luck. Well, it's stuck. All fun and games until I had to explain to my future father-in-law, a pastor, right, that my nickname was the Rammer and I wanted to marry his daughter. So it's all fun and games, folks. So be careful what nicknames you pick, because that was an interesting conversation. And thank God Steve's awesome. And we did our talk at an Angels game. How cool is that? So I asked for his daughter's hand in marriage at an Angels game, but it was stressful. There's sweaty palms, and I was trying to explain that. Oh no, the Rammer is just all due respect, all that, Jess.
So good. So good. Well, we touched on travel ball, and another question from a listener. This is from Gordo, travel ball or rec league? And, Whitey's already talked about it, how the landscape has changed a lot in the past few years, from Legion ball to travel ball. And I think there's pros and cons to each. But Chopper, I'll let you lead it off. What do you say to Gordo there? Travel ball, rec ball, both?
Well, I do think it depends on the talent level of your son. And obviously I've showed my hand, so to speak, because I'm a travel ball coach. So clearly I've picked a side. With that said, I still think there's tremendous value in rec ball. And then as you progress and you get better, if we can change the culture of travel ball, I think it has a chance. And I compare it to, like, in school, if your kid's really smart, they get put into AP classes or honor roll or honors, and they're around other really intelligent students and they grow that way. And it's an iron sharpens iron type of thing. I think it's the same in sports. And that's just my view on it. Now, with that said, we're kind of counterculture because we do community service once a month and we're just trying to get better every day. We're not flashy about, all we do is win. No, all we're trying to do is get better and love people. But we're trying to get better every day. And I think in travel ball, that enables the kids to be around other highly motivated, athletic kids, and iron sharpens iron. Just my take, but I know there's other takes.
Love that. I'd say the same thing. And the thing that stood out in that comment from you is, if we can change the culture, if we can, it is very necessary, in my opinion, for the high caliber player, but the culture should be about building skills. And Whitey, I'm sure you can speak to that, being a major league player and a major league coach. Will these kids that just play rec ball, will they be found? Will that talented player that can't afford travel ball, will they be seen, and make it to D1, D2, or even, the minor leagues or major leagues?
That's tough to say. But the difference I see is just it just depends on how much the kid wants to play at the time. How much does he love the game, or how much does he want to dedicate his, that much time to something, or does he want to be a kid? I'm not saying you can't be a kid and do both, but there's a lot of time spent on the ball field or at practice or at lessons or, that sort of thing. And at the same time, sometimes you feel like, or some parents may feel like, their kid gets behind if they're not participating in certain, with travel ball team. So it kind of goes both ways. But like I said before, growing up, there was no travel ball or anything like that. And I was still able to, get to where I wanted to be, right, without those certain things. But obviously the game has changed a lot in 25 years, with the amount of games that guys play and teams play, guys and girls both play. But I don't know. It's just depends. Personally, I don't think a kid needs to be playing 80 games a year, on the weekends, or playing 5 games on a Saturday till 2:00 in the morning. It just doesn't. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But that's just.
I think it really is how you lead that team. And Chopper, a travel ball coach, is leading it the right way.
Right.
And he's about skill. He's about building character. And in this day and age, and I heard this on a podcast called The Compound, which Ian Happ, who plays for the Cubs, he was talking about youth baseball. He's like, if one parent pulls out a phone at a Legion game or a rec ball game and shows a video of a kid hitting a home run or throwing 92, and then they send that video to the head coach at Delta State or Brown University or wherever, that kid might get a call, right? Just as much as if they spent thousands of dollars to go to a camp or play travel ball. So you can get a good exposure, and the cream will rise to the top much easier now with everybody having a video camera and being able to get the exposure they need. So Chopper, you're doing it the right way. I'm on the total end of the spectrum, bringing in the newcomer. But if I have a newcomer that comes up to me and says, I never played baseball, but I want to try it, then they feel welcome and comfortable learning the game with me. If I notice that kid's ready for the next level, I'll find a Coach Chop that isn't going to burn them out, isn't going to tear down their body, but it's going to build them up and make them a good person. What we can't have is a kid coming to my camp at age 8 and saying, my travel ball coach won't let me play soccer because I have to play year-round baseball. That kid needs to play soccer. That kid needs to play basketball like Mike Trout did. And that kid needs to just be a well-rounded athlete and child. So you got to look through the right lens there. Before I hit the next fan question, Chopper, anything else to put a bow on that?
I got a few things to say, and I'm disappointed that my whiteboard is so full because I would have wrote them down, but hopefully I can remember everything I wanted to say. But the first thing is, as a coach, make sure you have a passion for the kids and for the game. And if you have a passion for the kids and for the game, and I said the kids first on purpose, you'll make the right decision for them. I have a player who's an absolute stud. He came up to me about 2 weeks ago and said, Coach, I really want to do this other curricular activity, but I don't know, baseball, and we're supposed to this. And I said, hey, go do what you want to do. I think it's going to make you a better baseball player. Go take the 2 months and go do this little circuit that he's going to go join. And that's a desire of your heart. So if you have a passion for the kid, and it's not about you as a coach, and it's not about your ego or your numbers, or, this is my 2-hole hitter, one of the better players, that it's going to affect the team. But you know what does he want to do? And I think it's going to make him a better ball player, and he's going to love the game even more, getting away from it for a little bit. So that's a really big thing. The other thing is we only do one tournament a month, right? So it's like, okay, we'll do one tournament a month, and that's like pulling teeth for me. I'd rather do no tournaments and just practice, but we do one tournament a month. To Whitey's point, like, what are we doing playing all these games? Like, if you want them to get, and people will say, well, you got to play games so you can get that. Well, then do a scrimmage or do game situations. You can still get a quality at bat at practice, but not do the travel and all the craziness that goes on, getting these kids burned out. Right. And the third thing, I don't remember because my whiteboard's too full, but that's okay. I'm going to recover from it and still be great.
Bounce back salute.
I want to say something to that first point you made, Chop. I go back to, I think it was something that Ron Wotus, third base coach for the Giants the last couple of years, and he was the bench coach. Baseball, been in baseball a long time. Coached with under Felipe Alou when he was with the Giants. I think it was one thing that he said is you coach the man first, and then you coach the player. So you build the relationship with the player, with the man first, and gain that trust, and then you coach the player. And that kind of resonated with me, and kind of something that stuck with me, or still today.
Yeah. And I think it's more important when it's a younger kid. Like if Felipe Alou is coaching the man, when they're already mature and they love baseball, then it's even more important for that 12, 13-year-old that is trying to figure out what they want to do with their life. So, yeah, I think Chopper, you say it, coach the heart before the player, and I kind of say it in a different way, teach them to love the game before they play the game. So that's awesome. I think this one, maybe Whitey could lead us off. This is up. Yeah. Anything else, Chopper?
Very sorry, Whitey. Another thing to write down. So at camp, instead of rewarding, you can reward great play, but what Coach Ballgame does, and I love this, he rewards kindness. He rewards character. So when you're looking at those moments to praise someone, like, hey, great job right there, good eye contact. Hey, hey, I saw you said good job to your teammate. You were listening. So like, look for those moments to reward character at camp.
Yeah, I lean in on that hard. Like, I will never say this kid had 3 doubles. Come on up, you get your award. I really throw a bright light on the hustle, the down and ready, the paying attention, the cheering for your teammates, all those controllables. That's what we award at the Sandlot. So I think the wins and the stats, they'll take care of themselves if you're building up that character. This is from Me Washin. That's right. Me Washin is the name here on Instagram. How do you communicate your coaching style to your assistants? And maybe Whitey, you can lead us off there. You played under many managers and assistant coaches, and you were an assistant coach. How do you communicate your coaching style to your assistants? What was what speaks to you there?
Well, you kind of get the feel of how a manager is. I mean, you're around them all the time, and you kind of get their coaching style. But I think you just got to be upfront about what we're all trying to do. Obviously from day one, you step into a big league clubhouse in spring training. Everybody's got the same goal, in mind, is to win the World Series. But how do you get there? And obviously you got to be pulling on the same rope from day one. I just say this because of a big league season or a minor league season that's so long. It's a marathon, and there's going to be ups and downs along the way. But just knowing that the coaching staff has one another's back, and there are different ways to play the game, but if we're all together with one mindset, we're gonna have a better chance of accomplishing our goal, right? So I don't know. There are different coaching styles, but and sometimes you have to adapt to certain things. But up front, you got to know kind of how we're trying to get to our goal.
I love that. Everybody's got to be pulling on the same rope. And what I heard was authenticity. Like, the head coach needs to be authentic to who they are and what their sights are for the season. Chopper, you've got a lot of assistant coaches. How do you go about communicating your style to them?
Well, I'm just happy that I don't have video right now, because I pulled up my PowerPoint that I presented to my coaches when I got hired, and setting expectations. So the topics that we covered were: what are our core values? What are our goals? Who are we? My expectations and hopes for my staff. What do we want to accomplish this summer? How do we want to serve as coaches and mentors? How do we handle adversity on and off the field? And how do we handle a difficult parent? So I went through all these slides where we talked about our core values of trust, commitment, and love. And those have sub meanings of trust in the Lord, the process. This is a Christian school, so I get to proclaim my faith. Love our God, love our neighbor. Let's impact the community in a positive way, show Christ's love in everything that we do and in every situation that we come across. And when we fail, admit it, move forward with love and grace. So it's just a matter of, like, literally going through, I wrote down, get better every day, strive to improve daily as individuals and as a team, hold each other accountable, and just went through kind of all of my expectations. And the big thing in a camp too, Whitey, is like, we want to make sure that these kids know they're special. And that's how we start camp. It's like, hey, welcome to camp. Hey, we're so thankful y'all are here. And if you don't learn anything else today, you matter and you're important, and the person next to you matters. And so let's make sure we treat each other with love and kindness and empathy. And, but yeah, coach, I just go through everything that I want in my staff, because the kids are looking at us. I talk about giving them freedom to lead, that their voice matters. And in that, it'll hold me accountable. As a coach, you don't want to be surrounded with yes men. You want people that'll challenge your ideas so that you can grow. And just ultimately just be those examples. Never show up an umpire, stay calm through adversity. Everything that we know matters. I try to make sure I touch on it so that they know, like, hey, this is my expectation. And you know what's wild is this year, after the first game of the year, I had to go back over these expectations with a coach. After the second game of the year, I had to fire him. So that's part of it too, is as a coach, it's like, hey, dude, this is how we're going to go about it. To Whitey's point, we're going to pull on the same side of the rope. But if you're not in on this culture, and I know it's counterculture, I know it's tough as baseball guys not to write umpires, but we ain't doing it. And we had to make a change. So as a coach, you got to make sure you're bringing in the right guys to set the right culture. Our culture is what we tolerate. So, but it's just set expectations, coach. I have a long-winded answer and I apologize.
I love that. Yeah. Well, two things stand out for me. That if I want my assistant coaches to coach like me, I've got to, one, lead by example. They're not going to hear what I say, but they'll watch what I do. So that might mean, who's getting to the field 3 hours early and filling up the water coolers? It's me. Who's dragging the field? If they see me get on a knee and tie a kid's shoe and spend the time tying those shoes and putting those bases out and putting the cones out, then they'll want to do it at the same pace that I do it at. And they'll want to hustle from place to place, because I tell my coaches, the kids, they watch what you do more than they listen to what you say. So if we can have energy, and if we can get there early and leave late and really exude this physicality of energy, the kids will do the same thing. Same with character. So I think if I'm being a servant leader and leading by example, those are the two things that stand out for me. And my coaches they'll go to battle for me. If I'm showing up 2 minutes early and I'm commanding that they do all the work, and I just, bring my guitar and sing songs, then it's going to be lean. They're not going to want to go to battle for me. So that's what I have to say about that one. This one comes from Adam. And
hey, real quick. Sorry, Coach Whitey, how you doing on time? Because I know I told you a half hour and we slow played you. Now it's
I'm good.
Longer.
I'm good.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. I got to go ahead.
One thing to make a point about what you did, Chop. You stuck to your guns there. It's that's a tough situation having to let go of coach. But if you kind of let that slide, then you lose trust from your other coaches as well. So good for you for that. I know it's a tough spot, but it's something you got to do to hold up expectations that you have.
Yeah, the players too, right? It's the coaches and the players who are like, wait a second,
right.
You're letting this slide. So I called my athletic director, who I really, really trust, very wise man, Lonnie Taverdi, and he gave me that advice of like, hey, that's how you're feeling. Your gut's telling you this, and you've already warned them. Like, you got to pull the trigger on it. I support you because of exactly what you just said, Whitey. You got to show everybody that you're not just talking about it. You're going to be about it.
Good. Awesome. Adam, Coach Blue Jay, he's coached a couple of my camps with me. How do you guys deal with opposing coaches who are overly competitive? Now, this isn't more of a camp setting. This is probably more of travel ball and tournament ball. But I've had friends that, they try to go by the way we lead on this podcast. They try and go down that road, but sometimes the other team is overly competitive and bringing in some negativity in the other dugout, Chopper. What do you do when something like that's going on?
You control the controllables. So I can control my attitude and I can control how I respond. So if you're getting into another coach as a coach and you're like, well, that guy did it. Well, no, hang on. You get to control how you respond. So there's really no excuse to get engaged with another coach, no matter what they're doing. And you remind your kids like, hey, we're going to control what we can control. We're going to love and respect our opponent. We don't need it in return. And that's how you can change hearts. You can't change hearts by matching someone's level of anger and frustration and hatred. You have a chance to change their heart by showing them a different way. And I talked earlier in an earlier episode about coaches who why do you didn't know this? The whole entire staff got thrown out. The whole entire staff. They had to bring in a dad. The 5 coaches got thrown out. The kids got kicked out with him because that's the rule. And the umpire wasn't great, but my goodness, he's doing the best he can. He's not trying to screw anybody. He wasn't a good umpire, but they're not great at the big league level. We'll have to edit that part out. So you think a 13U umpire is going to be, Joe West? Good luck. So the game ends and he calls over the tournament director and he wanted to talk to both of us and get our sides of it. And this coach told him everything he thought. And then he goes, hey, coach, what's your opinion? And I looked him straight in the eye. I said, do you want my opinion? And he goes, yes, I do. I said, honestly, that's one of the most embarrassing displays of leadership I've ever seen. You've got kids on this field and now they're being taught that when they're wrong, they can act out in anger and frustration. And like, you had an opportunity to set an example and I believe you failed. And I'm embarrassed to be on the field with you. And you know what I mean? And he was like taken aback. And I'm like, sorry, dude, like that's my opinion. And that's why we started this podcast is like, what are we doing, dude? This is the future of our community. Right. And they're looking at us as leaders. So.
Yeah. It's good stuff. And what I've told my friends that have this happen is that other coach, they are picking up all the negative energy that you pick up from them. They're picking up even more of your positive energy. If you can continue to coach your team in a positive way and you see that kid that struck out twice and you go put your arm around him and you try and lift him out of the gutter that he's in, they see that. And that deep down, they want to be that, but they're not there yet. So I have it with kids that come to my sandlots. They want to quit baseball because they had a bad experience with a coach. And I have to just be honest with them. Every coach is different. And some coaches are just starting out. And when I started out, I was not a good coach and I pushed kids away from the game. And I'm ashamed to say that, but I was looking through the wrong lens. And it's tough to tell an 8-year-old be more mature than the adult, but that's kind of what we're asking until we can change this culture. So, Whitey, anything to add on that topic?
I agree 100% with what you guys are saying. It's kind of sad to say that, or have to say that sometimes you see a guy act like a coach act like that, or coaches act like that, because we're trying to teach the game and the love for the game, and obviously the game gets frustrating at times, not only with your performance but maybe with the umpire's performance, and but you can't let that dictate how you lead a group of guys, a group of kids, and I agree with Chop in saying that control what you can control. You can control your attitude, how you react to the situation, and just lead by example in that way.
I love it. Well, we'll do one more fan question, then I definitely want to take some questions from you, Whitey. If you have any, we'll this will be great and very helpful for other parents and coaches as well. But tips for staying patient, and this is a big one: patience. It's very necessary, especially at the youth level. But when a young player doesn't understand or doesn't execute, tips for staying patient. That's from A. Bender. Chopper, what do you do to stay cool?
I think it's really important to make sure your instruction is simple. And it's not this like 5 different steps and Pythagoras theorem, you know what I mean? Like they're kids and you want their mind to be as free as possible. So I like to use targets. Like, hey, I want you to try to hit this ball to right center if they're lefty. Just try that. That's where you're aiming. Or I love off the tee where we'll put the ball 2-seam and pick a little lace on that inside seam there, the inside lace. Pick one of those actual threads and just try to make that your target. Now we're creating a short swing, but they're not thinking. So the less thinking we can do, I think, is good. But if a kid's still not getting it, it's our job as a coach to figure out something that works for them. You have to know your audience. And most coaches know the information. That's great. How do you get it to the kid? But patience is, I love my kids, and every kid I come in contact with, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to just love on them and encourage them. And if they don't get it right away, they will get it. If they keep working, they will get it. So it's making sure that they don't leave that setting frustrated, making sure that you do encourage them and, hey, nice shoes. Hey, I know you didn't have a great day today, but those shoes are unbelievable and I love them. And I cannot wait to see you on Wednesday, but you're doing great. And I know today didn't go the way you wanted it to, but we're going to try again on Wednesday. And this is just where you're starting. And I cannot wait to see where you end up. And it's just breathing life and encouraging. But for me, honestly, coach, patience is really easy. I love these kids, man. I got a passion for kids and I got a passion for the game. I got a passion for people. So I don't get too frustrated with kids too often.
My patience improved greatly when I took off the wrong pair of glasses and put on the right pair of glasses and started looking through the lens of build character and make them want to come back tomorrow, period. If I'm trying to make them a major leaguer, I'm going to yell at them and I'm going to yell at the umpire and I'm going to encourage the parents to yell at the umpire, and it snowballs into this negative bowl of garbage. But when I'm just trying to build their character, then I'm going to challenge them if they're not giving 100% effort, but I'm not going to bury them. And that's really, I think, the key to patience is just, are you looking through the right pair of glasses? Coach Whitey, anything there?
I'd say first off, understand that they're kids, understand that he's a kid. He's a 10-year-old kid, and not all kids are going to progress at the same pace, so some kid may pick up on something a little bit quicker than the next kid, and just understanding that and being able to be there for them, at that time when they may be struggling, is I think goes a long way. I see some coaches that I've come into contact with the last few months that think they're all going to, obviously some think they're all going to be big leaguers and treat them like that and when they're 10 years old, and it's not going to happen. But understanding that this shortstop, he may pick up on a couple of things a little bit quicker than the next guy behind him, and just being able to stick your nose in there and work with the kid and just see him progress and see him come along is that's what's, I think, is rewarding for coaching youth.
I think the last topic I'll hit on that is as far as patience goes, I rarely coach a young version of myself. And when I started out coaching, I expected everybody to be in love with the game and just like me want to play 9 hours a day and just dive headfirst into a wall for my coach. I rarely coach that kid. There are 20, 50, 100 different personalities out there. Many of them don't want to be out there, and many of them have something going on at home that maybe whether it be insecurities or just things that they just need a mentor. They just need somebody that can have a conversation with them. Yeah, I think once I got out of my way on that one, I started to become very patient. Chopper, before we open up any questions from Coach Whitey, first of all, I think he's ready, man. I think he's ready to coach those camps out there. What do you got, Chopper?
Yeah, it's just, knowing that if a kid's going through it a little bit and you're trying to teach him something and he's not getting it, as a coach, have that empathy, understand, right? Like Whitey said, it's a 10-year-old kid and sense the frustration and feel that and empathize with that and try to be, okay, how can I do this differently? Or what else can we try? Tell him a joke, make him smile, you know, hey, where'd you get that shirt? You know, and maybe we can just reset and start over. But just know, man, like we're here to coach the hearts. And like you say, coach, if you come at it with that, you can't lose if you've already won.
Good. Pick our brain, Whitey. Anything?
Let's go, Whitey.
You want to go? Let's go.
All right.
I'm ready.
All right. I was approached by a guy in town. He's I guess he's an alderman in our town. I live in New Albany, Mississippi, small town. It's growing pretty good bit the last few months. Great complex. We've got a great complex in town. Was one of the first kind of sportsplexes here in this area. We've kind of, and then we built we built a nice tennis complex. Okay, that was brought in, I don't know, in the last 10 years or so, I guess. So our tennis program has blown up. State champions, I don't know, 6-7 state championships the last, few years. Soccer team went to the state playoffs this past, just a couple months ago. Our baseball program has struggled a little bit, I think, maybe with some kids going different directions and playing other sports, and not being as excited about the game of baseball as maybe they could have, or with the city having the facilities to do it, just utilizing that facility as best it can be used, and he approached me and asked me if I would want to do a baseball camp. I said, sure, I'd want to do a baseball camp. I've never done a baseball camp, really never been a part of any camps other than, and Chop, you would know this, or, put on a minor league team, put on a camp on a Saturday afternoon or something like that,
Yep.
But I'm looking for something more, more structured and, with guys, you say y'all been doing it for 20, 25 years, and I'm looking just where do I need to start? What should I focus on? Obviously, we'll try to have different age groups. How do you break those down? And what length of time do you feel like you can have a kid's attention in certain areas? I guess I'm asking about 14 questions in one, but with your experience, where do you think I should begin with just I don't know if I should do an all around, just an all around, all skills camp, or should I break it down in like a base running camp, infielder camp, certain things like that? What in your experience, what have you noticed has been most successful for you guys?
You want me to start, Coach, or you want to start?
I like it. It's like playing golf. I like to bat second. You lead us off and I'll bat second.
All right, Whitey. So I'll get your email here after, and I'll send you, I have it pulled up right now. This is our itinerary from the Nick Hundley camp back in February that Coach Ballgame was at. And we went from 9 to 1 and, do your intros, do your stretch, get them into groups. Those groups are designed by age, but you can also make some adjustments. If you have a 6-year-old who's as good as a 9-year-old, you can go ahead and move him up based on his talent level. And then we would go through 4 rotations, and those rotations are an infield group where they're just really, honestly, depending on their skill level, but even the better players, like most of these kids that I see, they don't know how to properly field a ground ball. So like truly working around the ball with an angle towards their target, right, left field, right, left, replace their feet, gaining ground athletically towards their target, faking a throw or throwing and following their throw. So like, if they leave their camp and that's the only thing they learn, like you helped them. But like for us, we went to infield, to base running, to outfield, to speed and power, to pitching, to wiffle balls, to front flips, to hitting in the cage, and then back to infield. And those are those rotations. So I give them about an hour of rotations. And then we do a snack break for 15 minutes. And this is where Coach Ballgame is elite at a snack break. I normally just pick a kid, tell a joke. We used to have a kid that would come to our Brandon Crawford camps that would do magic tricks. And I mean, what an awesome kid. But Coach Ballgame tells stories, and these are the coolest stories. And I promise you, the kids that leave his camps, they fall in love deeper with the game, and they'll remember those stories. But then after that first snack break, we do the other 4 rotations. So you have 8 total groups, and I'll send this to you, Whitey. Then we do another snack break, and then we go into sandlots, which is just a bat and a tennis ball. You don't need gloves, but now you get into positioning, right? Because everyone should be at a real baseball position. And that gets really fun. The kids are cheering for each other, using the nicknames. And then we wrap it up with a little Q&A, Whitey, where you'd answer some questions if kids have any questions, and just kind of spread your wisdom and knowledge. And then you get them out of there by 1 o'clock. And if you want to serve lunch, you can. And then my high school coach, he would do that from 9 to 1. And then he would have like a little 20-minute break. And then he would actually do like swimming in the afternoons, which is pretty cool. You'd charge a little bit more for that, but that would be for the folks that, you know, sometimes a camp, especially in the summertime, or depending on when you're going to do it, that's also childcare. So if you can provide for the parents that, you know, 8:30, maybe early,
full work day.
Yes, sir. 8:30 to 5, right? Where you got them, keep them in the shade, keep them hydrated. But that's the other side of it too, where it's, you know, a week long of childcare can go a long way, and these kids can get better and learn and have fun, and you can breathe life into them. But that's what I got. Coach Ballgame, you put some cherries on this, because I love how you run camps. Love it.
Yeah, I mean, I had a boss right out of college who really showed me how to run a camp. My pal Dan Spring, and he still does it in the LA area. And I also went to school to be a teacher, so I kind of learned from both of those places to keep it moving and try to keep kids as active as possible. And the way I keep the activity high is, like Coach Chop said, small groups and rotations. But prior to kind of breaking them up into groups of 4 and having them rotate from a force outs at second to wiffle ball batting practice to blocking, balls in the dirt, and having those different rotations, I use partner activities. So I get there early, and I set up cones where you've got one-on-one partner throw and catch. And that's where I teach the catching, the throwing, the fielding, the ground balls, all those basic skills of how to do those 3 things. I do it where it's just a kid and somebody of equal skill level. They're playing catch together, or they're rolling the ball back and forth together. And then I'll have a megaphone to save my voice, and I'll hit the alarm, and I'll say, okay, drop your gloves by your cone, team meeting on the mound. And that's when I'll teach a new skill. So, I've got YouTube videos galore of how to teach a kid how to catch, how to teach a kid how to throw and field ground balls. And I use catchphrases and songs and things like that. But that keeps it moving early. Then you break them into their small groups. And I do age and skill level, just like Chopper. That way you don't have a stud throwing a ball from shortstop over to first to a kid that's never played. That's going to push them away. It's going to push both kids away. So really important to diversify that way. And then, yes, I love to add stories of character like Roberto Clemente, Jim Abbott, Daniel Nava. I'm going to start with the Daniel Bard story. We just interviewed him. Albert Pujols, how he won the Roberto Clemente Award and started out using a lime for a ball and a stick for a bat. And then I try to play 2 scrimmages per day, and I run camps 9 to 3, but I'll do 1 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon. Because when you ask 50 kids what's their favorite part of camp, 45 of them say the scrimmage, and the rest say story time. So you want to get them playing in a game. And a great way to have kids of all different skill levels playing together in a game setting is just use a tennis ball or a soft baseball. And so we call it the Roberto Clemente game, where instead of using a lemon, we'll use a tennis ball. Instead of using a stick, we'll use 1 bat and share that bat. instead of using gloves, we'll use our bare hand. And I'm just big on preparing for that whole day before any kid gets there. Because once the kid gets there, I want to be present and I want to give them a nickname. And I really want to have everything done with by the time the first kid comes and arrives. So I know, okay, we got our partner throw cones down, we got our station set up. And then, your assistant coaches, they learn it quick. They get on board quickly, and you just have, you have them at all the different stations. So we basically did that at the Nick Hundley camp with Chopper. And then you end the day with awards. We have an award ceremony, and I kind of make it a big deal where it's all about choices you made. Who was the hustler of the day? And I'll let all my assistant coaches pick their award of the day. Who inspired you? And all the coaches have nicknames too. And it really becomes this tight family. And when you do 30 hours in a week, 6 hours a day for 5 days, you really build a family. And it's just something memorable they'll never forget. Yeah.
What do you feel like, or what do you see as the participants in your camps? Do you see more park and rec kids, or do you see a lot of travel ball kids? How do you mesh those two groups together, or what do you see the most of? And
I get a little bit of both, especially at my camps. At my sandlots, especially now in spring, I'm not getting many little league travel ball players because they're playing 4 days a week with their league team. So it's a lot of newcomers. But at my camps, it's half and half. And I can really narrow it down on that first game of catch. I split them up by ages, but then, okay, that 12-year-old's never played. And you just shift, you memorize, okay, that's a newcomer, that's a seasoned veteran. And then, this 9-year-old needs to belong in this group. And you kind of mix and match based on that game of catch. And you get a lot of requests from parents. Can my kid be with this group of friends? And you definitely want that as well. You want that social aspect to be positive, but safety is at the forefront. So I can't have the 6-year-old little brother, playing on the hardball field with the 10-year-olds, if it's going to be dangerous. So safety first, but yeah, if you can make it work, let the friends play with the friends. But that's how I judge it. If a kid can catch a baseball coming at their face, all right, then they're ready for the older group. But if they're going like this or getting out of the way, that's how I break up my small groups, just based on that first game of catch.
Yeah, I would say the breakdown's probably 80-20 in my experience, 80% park and rec, 20% club ball. And parents will freak out because they're like, oh, my son's really good. It's like, it's okay. He's going to be in a group with doing all these rotations with guys with his skill level. So that's how you can control that, is the kids that are working towards it and aren't quite there yet, don't have a ton of experience. That's okay. You put them in their group with similar talent levels or experience levels. And the kids that are better, they're in a group with other kids where iron sharpening iron, and they're getting better. And that's why you can have, ranges from ages 6 to 15 or 16 years old, because you can put them 15 and 16-year-olds together. And then when you do your game, not with a hard ball, but do it with that softball, wiffle ball or tennis ball, you can get the, 12 to 16-year-olds or 13 to 16-year-olds in a game. And then the younger kids with a different one. Another thing I would say, write this down. Do not let everybody play catch with a hard ball. If you're not sure, use a wiffle ball or a tennis ball until they prove that they can play catch with a hard ball, because safety first. Those incredibles are really good too, because then they think they're playing with a baseball, but when it hits them in the face, it's not an emergency room. It's just a pat on the butt, maybe an ice pack.
I've got ages 4 and 5, and they're only using tennis balls. Yes, I've got ages 6, 7. They're only using soft baseballs. And if I've got a 6 and 7-year-old that feel like they're being held back, then I'll move them to the hardball field. I've got 2 different fields going. And then if I see a 10-year-old who is not ready for that baseball, then I shift it. So I've got a tennis ball, a soft baseball and the hard ball. And yeah, they kind of have to prove to me they can catch correctly before they go with the hard ball. So that's a good one. You don't want a kid getting hit in the nose and then quitting baseball.
Might be the most important one. Yeah, safety first. Glove circle is good, Whitey. With the younger kids, glove circle is really good. And Coach Ballgame's got a plethora of videos on how to teach youth. So I'm speaking out of turn a little bit, but that glove circle is really good. So if the ball's below their waist, palm up, and then it just works, it's way back up to how we're supposed to catch a ball above the waist. But that's really good with the little kids with a wiffle ball.
Another question. Obviously, it depends on the amount of participants you have, but how many coaches do you, or volunteers or assistants, how many do you have working each camp with you, or how do you, the ratio of participant to coach, how do you, what's your take on that?
I go 1 to 8 on a perfect day, and 1 to 10 if I have to. And for the 4 and 5 year olds, they go to the bathroom twice as much. So that might be a 1 to 3 ratio there. So I'll put all my most energetic, kind, patient high school assistant coaches, I'll put them with the young group with my best assistant coach, because that is the most high maintenance. And then, yeah, if I can get 1 per 8, then I can play an 8-on-8 scrimmage, and I can have a coach pitcher, a coach catcher, and it really keeps the game moving. Where they're not putting the catcher gear on, kids pitch. We do sprinkle it in, but I don't do too many kid pitch, kid catch scrimmages unless they're in that elite 11 and 12-year-old group that can move quickly. I keep it pretty coach pitch, coach catch, and then kids get 4 or 5 at bats per game, and there's nobody sitting out in right field going, "This is boring."
Hey, coach, your cones too. You set up those cones. I love that for the lineup, so the kids aren't. So that's a safety issue. Whitey, this is huge. He'll go ahead, coach.
Yeah.
Explain how you do that. That's huge.
I got green and orange cones, so I'll put green cones where the positions are, because a lot of these, especially kids 7 and under, they don't know where the shortstop's supposed to be positioned. So, and then for the batting lineup, I like to have them outside the dugout if I can, especially when we're not using a hard ball and we're not wearing helmets. We're just using a tennis ball, and I have them just stand in a line of cones in their batting order. That way they're energetic, they're cheering for the batter, they're paying attention more. And I even put an on-deck drum in the on-deck circle. So the guy who's up next, he's playing a conga drum, really bringing life to the game. But for the younger kids, after everybody's batted, all right, orange cones, go to the green cones, go to the orange cones. And it makes everything move real smooth. So yeah, I'm a big cone guy.
That's an awesome idea.
It's a good idea. I saw that. I'm like, man, what a legend. A couple things. So those younger kids, they may feel a little bit left out. And I've seen this at camp. So I refer to them as VIPs. Right. And I try to make sure they know how special they are, because they're going to have that sense of, and even the parents, more importantly, are going to be like, well, my son's not doing what everyone else is doing. Well, he can't do it yet. So those are my VIPs. Sometimes they're in their own group. Coach Ballgame, you could speak to this too. I don't know how you handle it, but there's times when I've got these little 4-year-olds and they're awesome and they've got all this energy, but they're not about to have the structure of rotations and all that stuff. So they're actually going to be off with, I try to make that a 5-to-1 ratio if possible. And with energetic, patient high school kids. But Whitey, what you can do too is if you've got some of these moms that are going to be hanging around, you can ask them, "Hey, Mrs. Smith, you've got great patience. Can you help me with my VIPs today?" And just make sure they're getting to the bathroom and they're drinking water. And then you bring these parents and have that involvement, and they'll take ownership of it. And that's just going to help your product overall and the kids' experience. I make sure there's at least one coach at every station. And if you have the way you get helpers is high school kids to volunteer, junior college kids to volunteer. I should say like senior high schools, students, depending on your age. But you can get volunteers, and a lot of people need community service hours. but don't just assume they're going to bring the same energy you bring, and be mindful and be aware of, okay, that kid was awesome, or that kid needs another kid with him. And when he has another kid with him, he does a good job as a mentor and as a coach. Setting the expectations with my coaches. Hey guys, we're going to speak in positive tones. There's two ways to communicate. You can say, don't strike out, or you can say, put the ball in play. You can say, anything we say, phrase it in a positive way. And knowing that our number one goal for these kids is to have fun first and foremost, and to learn one thing. Just learn one thing, because we're going to be throwing a ton of stuff at these guys. But at the end of the day, you can ask, hey, so-and-so, what'd you learn today? And they'll have one thing. But yeah, that's how I do it. And parents will help, dude. Dads will help. So if you got dads that want to be there and want to help, have them help, and the more supervision you can have, just the better off you're going to be.
Awesome. Last question. What is your favorite part of a camp that you run?
You want me to go, coach, or you want to go?
Favorite drill,
Yeah.
favorite, I don't know if it's I don't know, whatever, just your favorite part of camps that you run, or of a camp that you have run.
Go ahead, Chapper.
I've got a few. I'm going to jump a little bit over the map here. With Brandon Crawford, we did 2 years in a row. We did a swag station where we put Johnny B in their hair and gave him a wristband and some sunglasses. And we preached that you got to look good to play good. So that was, the kids absolutely loved that. And then we did a PlayStation group once too, which was cool. Baseball card station's fun, although that one fell a little short. I thought that was going to be like the coolest thing, where we just went over like the stats. Plus it's a good opportunity for them to recover, because you set up a pop-up tent. And if it's a really hot day, you can make sure they're hydrating for that whole 10, 12 minute station. And they're just talking about, what's OPS, all this fun stuff where, and if it's a younger group, they can just pick the guy with the coolest mustache or the coolest mullet. But I like those stations. But with that said, and I said I was going to jump around, my favorite is Coach Ballgame's Roberto Clemente station, or that setting, because you can teach. It's fun. When the balls hit foul, they all yell PU, that ball smells foul. And it's so fun. My kids went to his camp, and that's how we know each other. But anytime you can insert fun, Whitey. But I'll send you all my stations. But get creative, dude. Do something that no one else has ever done before. But yeah, that was a long answer. But.
Yeah, the Sandlot games are. That's a top favorite of mine, because it's all the kids' favorite thing. Also, every week on Thursdays we do a costume contest at lunch. So kids bring costumes, and after we eat lunch, or right before lunch, everybody will put on their costume, and we'll have a contest. And honestly, that might be the only thing these kids remember in 10 years. But you've got all these different superheroes out there, and Superman and the Mandalorian and Chewbacca, and they just absolutely love it. And then, yeah, I think story time as well. So being able to tell stories and just have them, it kind of meets every different kid. You've got the artistic kid that just wants to listen to music or stories. You've got the gamer that all he wants to do is do drills. And you've got the kid that just wants to have fun and put on costumes. You really can hit all the different personality types in one day, and yeah, have a big fun party.
Another good drill that won't be on this itinerary I'm going to send you, Whitey, is pickle. Pickle's a fun drill with a tennis ball. And the cool thing is, they don't know, but if you have a good coach over there, they can learn a lot of things. Creating a throwing lane, communicating, when you call for the ball, your feet are moving. They can learn a ton by just playing pickle. That's pretty cool. And the guys that are in the middle can learn, like, being mindful of what shoulder did that ball come over, because you can turn that way and maybe create that interference. So you can actually go, they think they're goofing off, but you're teaching them this like second semester type of how to navigate a rundown and create a throwing lane, and how to get out of it if you're the base runner. So especially with your knowledge, Whitey, my goodness, I'm excited for these kids. I'm going to send my kids out to Mississippi and come play with you. We appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for taking the time. And I know
You
we went
got
about
it.
an
You got
hour over how long I said it was going to take. So I hope you enjoyed it, but we really enjoyed having you.
Man, yeah. Glad to be on. Good to meet you, Coach Ballgame.
Great to meet you, Whitey. This was awesome. And I know our listeners are going to love this one just because it might be the most educational podcast we've done so far. Yeah.
Hey, Whitey, do you have another minute or two for some Eli Whiteside trivia, or you got to go?
Yeah, I got a minute.
Let's go.
We'll close up shop with trivia. Who's no hitter? And as soon as you know the answer, Whitey, you can say it. And Chopper's going to try and answer it faster than you. Whose no hitter did he catch July 10, 2009?
Jonathan Sanchez.
Jonathan Sanchez, one of 3 Puerto Ricans to throw a no-no. Also, fun fact, Sanchez's dad was in attendance that game, and he'd never seen his son pitch in a major league game.
Unbelievable.
Are you kidding me?
Unbelievable.
So, and I believe
dad,
the only base runner was maybe an error, I think.
Error, third base. Yeah, like the 7th or 8th inning. But that was unbelievable. Just see his dad come down after the game and just hear the story after. You know, I didn't know the story at the time, but to see his dad come down after the game, he'd give him I see it. I can remember it like it was yesterday. Him coming down and just giving him a big hug because he'd gone to the bullpen. You know, he was in the starting rotation, struggled, went to the bullpen for a couple of weeks. We needed a starter. I was not supposed to catch that game. Benji was supposed to catch. His wife was pregnant. She had the baby. We threw a no-hitter. It was crazy.
That's so awesome.
But it was awesome.
That's so cool. Eli had 108 career hits in the bigs. What pitcher did he have the most hits off of? This guy pitched for the Reds and the Padres.
Reds and Padres.
Lefty or
Initials
righty?
are A-H.
A-H. Aaron Harang.
Hey,
Correct.
The
2-0 Coach
Harang.
Whitey.
Harangue. That was my college teammate. Yeah, Aaron Harangue, San Diego State.
Most RBIs in his career off what pitcher? And they all came off one swing of the bat.
Grand slam. Who'd you hit a grand slam
against
off
the
of?
Astros?
Brian Moeller.
Correct.
Let's go. You're dominating right now, Whitey.
And that was your first career bomb, was a granny.
First career home run, grand slam. Minute
about
Maid
it?
Park.
Top shelf.
There you go. Who struck him out the most? What pitcher got him the
Initials?
most times? SM. 5 times. Played with the Blue Jays and the Brewers, this pitcher.
Sean
Markham.
Correct.
Yeah.
Sean Markham got him. So we'll give you half a point there, Chopper. Half a point for the
I couldn't think of the
Sean.
last name, but I knew it ended with a UM. And yeah, Markham, Sean Markham.
He hit the most bombs in a 0-1 count.
Like that.
For
like
any of you
that.
pitchers out there trying to.
Was that a hanging slider?
figure
Was that a
him
hanging
out.
slider? Or
Possibly
was
a
that
hanging
just
slider. I don't know.
I
I was
love
trying
that.
to hit early in the count.
I love it.
And finally, the Delta State Statesman in Cleveland, Mississippi, beat the University of Arkansas Monticello last weekend. What is Arkansas Monticello's nickname?
The buzzsaws.
That's been a while. Not
The
the
men-
Sand
The men are the Bow Weevils,
Let's go.
and the women's sports is the Cotton Blossoms.
Cotton
How about
Block
Okay.
and the Bow Weevils.
And the bow wheels.
That's
great.
I love it.
It's been a while.
Awesome.
Well, we appreciate you, man. Whitey, that was great. And thank you for
Man,
asking the questions. And you have my number. I'll get you Coach Ballgame's contact info. I'll
Yeah.
send you that itinerary, and we'll support you any way we can.
All
And
right,
we're
guys.
excited for you, man. We're excited for your journey.
All right, I appreciate it.
You got it, Whitey.
Thank
Have a
you,
great
guys.
day.
All
See
right,
you, bud.
guys, appreciate it. Y'all
Take it
too.
easy.
Bye-bye. Well, that was a good one. We got to get Tommy Gold to class, but I think we answered a lot of questions there, Coach.
Yeah, we did. I hope you have a great week. And I have a couple stories I wanted to share about my team, but we'll do it another time.
Hey, we got some good guests lined up, so we'll keep it rolling, and the stories will keep coming. So rake out there, folks.
Yes, sir.
And,
big game tonight. Push Ridge Christian Academy versus Empire.
Let's go.
Check it out. Let's go.